Welcome, everybody. I'm Laura DeFranco, the CEO of Brave Healer Productions, where we have a mission to wake the world up to what's possible for healing. And here today to help me with that mission are some of the amazing authors of a new book we have coming out called Strong Mothers, More Than a Survival Guide. Oh my goodness, you guys, I am so excited about this book. I want to just say a big thank you to our lead author, Christina Morris. Christina, you had a really awesome, big vision for this book, and I have felt it since the very beginning of the idea. So big thank you to you. We wouldn't be here without you. And now let me introduce you to these amazing women that you see in front of you today. Hi, ladies. How's it going?
Hello. Morning. Hi there.
I'm so happy to have you here. Aricka Brazer is a mother, minister, and coach who helps others live more fulfilled lives and achieve more of what they want. I have Laura McKinnon with us. She's a yoga teacher and studio owner, supporting health and wellness throughout the world. Miss Linda Aileen Miller is an entrepreneurial biohacker who is touching lives with education, nutrition activation, and holding space for healthy births while writing #1 bestsellers in her spare time. Go, Linda. And I have Lisa Russell with us. She is a reflexologist specializing in fertility, pregnancy, and postnatal care. Oh my goodness. Let's get this party started. So, Aricka, I'm going to start with you, okay? I am a divorced mother of 2 college-age adults and 2 fur babies, just to introduce my motherhood to you all. So, Aricka, tell me, what kind of mother are you? And tell us about this amazing chapter that you wrote.
Well, hi, Laura. Thank you so much for having me on here. I am a mother of 2 small children, a son and a daughter, Miles and Madeline. And I also have 3 fur babies and 1 that doesn't have fur. It's an iguana. So that's our newest pet and absolutely love it. There's a whole world when it comes to iguanas. So anyways, my chapter, it's called From Hot Mess to Harmony. I was the type of mother that kind of just flew by the seat of my pants. I didn't really have any kind of thought process. I was just kind of going through life, whatever it threw at me. I was just managing things. And so my chapter is kind of a little bit about my story, kind of the thought process that I went through from a negative mindset to a positive mindset and how I was able to move forward from being that hot mess to living a more harmonious lifestyle.
You know, the positivity subject is probably one of my favorite. It's the mindset subject is one of my favorites. Yeah. How did that play out for you? What was important about that?
Well, I started to realize as I got into coaching and more so helping people change their mindset that I needed to practice what I preached. I realized that as a mom, I was giving myself all these outs of, well, I just don't have time. And, I'll get to it later. I'll do that. And I realized what I was helping people to do, they were achieving all the things that they wanted. And I realized, man, like I'm reading all these self-help books. I'm doing all the things except for this one tool. And once I became more diligent about following through to that, I started just seeing the serendipity come to pass in my life and just things all started falling into place for me.
The biggest thing that I hear about this that, I don't know, ruffles my feathers a little bit. So I'll see what you have to say about it. But, positivity. Okay. So you are, there's this fake toxic positivity. And I subscribe to a world where we practice awareness and we give ourselves permission to feel all the feelings, right? But then with awareness, you get the choice. So choosing positivity is my practice, but it's not that I'm ignoring feelings. Talk about this a little bit.
Absolutely. I am the type of coach, I'm the type of person that I have to be very aware of what's going on in my body, what's going on around me, what things are triggering me. And so I am a person that I like to set boundaries. And I know like boundaries, when you say that word, it makes people go, oh, like, no, but it's simple things. It's choosing the next right thing for me. And I don't do that fake positivity. I'm not a words of affirmation person. So if you just say, oh, the sky is beautiful and it's blue, I'll be like, well, it's got some clouds. I'm a real, person. I have real feelings. And so really for me, it's kind of a balance of both worlds, knowing where I'm at, knowing what things are going on around me, and then making the choice, like you said, to have that positivity.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you, Aricka. We'll hear more from you in
You're
a couple
welcome.
of minutes. I can't wait for people to read your chapter. Okay, Laura, we're ready to hear about you. So tell us what kind of mother you are and about your amazing chapter.
Thank you. Good morning. Let's see. So I'm a mom to three, all under 12. Two are with us. One is up in heaven. I've been married to my husband for the last 19 years, and I've been running a yoga studio for the last 15 years. My chapter title is The Way of the Warrior Mama. And kind of how that came about, I mentioned my oldest is already 12, and in reflection also of what I do as a yoga teacher, inspiring and supporting people about self-care and wellness and health, when I became a mother, I realized the struggle that many of us have, and that's finding the time and even finding the ability to apply self-care without feeling guilt, right? Like we have so many people to take care of that we often put ourselves on the list last, and then we just run out of time for that. And my last pregnancy with our daughter, I really rooted deep down into the understanding that I needed to prioritize my own self in terms of my own self-worth. And once I really found that value, that worthiness of my own love and my own care, I struggled less with feeling guilty. And I understood that the more I prioritized taking care of myself, not only could I show up better for myself, but then I could show up better for everyone else that, I was responsible for taking care of.
Oh my goodness. So this is the hot topic of this century, and especially for moms, right? Taking care of you, filling your own cup, getting it to an overflow place so that you can serve from that place. It's so important that we change this from feeling like it's a luxury to knowing it's a necessity. But I want to get back to the thing you said about worthiness for a minute, because I think that's the foundation of it.
Absolutely.
Do you want to talk a little bit more about that? Why is that the foundation of it?
Well, because it's okay. So think about, like, for instance, our children. We love them so immensely that we will move heaven and earth. We will move mountains to do whatever is required to take care of them, because we have nothing but, right, just complete adoration and love. If we had the same for ourselves, then we also wouldn't table the opportunity to take care of ourselves. So if we were to look at our own self, the way that we see others in our life that we love immensely and would do, go the extra mile for, then in turn, when we see ourselves that way, then we're willing to prioritize doing that. Because I know for me and other women that I've worked with over the years, it's not just our own internal dialogue that we struggle with, but it's that external. Moms, it's like just we're expected to do all these things, almost this martyrdom, if you will. But the reality of it is we're human beings that we need to nurture and love deeply, just as we would our own children.
I'm writing something down about what you were saying there. It comes to this question, and I really believe that mothers have another level of self-sabotage when it comes to this. And I have my theory about why that is, but I wrote down, are you willing to prioritize putting yourself first? Are you willing to prioritize yourself? Oh, and isn't the children and the being the mom the hardest example of maybe a really great excuse of why we can't do that? I'm sure you've heard this from moms.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, so that's the thing, let's just say someone who like, okay, I want to start eating better and I want to start exercising, but then they go through the Rolodex of all these excuses. My alarm didn't go off, or I didn't have time to go to the store to buy the healthy food or whatever. And I'm not saying, right, life is life and we all struggle. But yes, it's really easy if we're avoiding certain things to find all of those excuses. And oh my goodness, the easiest one as a mom is like, oh, I'm sorry, I can't go to that today because I've got to be home with my kids or whatever it is, right? So, but we have to be really careful that we aren't doing that to our own selves.
Yeah. Yes. You're making me chuckle about, I mean, sometimes it comes in really handy as an excuse.
Don't we know?
But we don't, we really shouldn't be doing that. That's modeling something that's not so great, right?
Right. And the other thing that I also started recognizing, right, we do so many, there's so many ways that we teach our children things, but the biggest one is just by how we simply lead our own life. Right? They see everything, they hear everything. It is so impressionable. So I also have that realization, if my children see that I am taking good care of myself, that sets up a role model for them. Instead of me just telling them, hey, we need to eat healthy meals, or we need to take time for ourselves to stretch, go outside, get sunshine, get fresh air, move our bodies. If I'm just telling them to do that, but they don't see their mother doing that themselves or myself, that's a little bit harder to carry over. So I also think as a mother, the more that we embody what it means to be in that self-care place, then our children just naturally follow, because that's what they are observing us doing all the time.
Yes. Oh my goodness, for sure. Thank you, Laura. Just wait until you read Laura's chapter. I don't know if you know this, Laura, but I actually referenced your chapter in my chapter. So you guys, this is one of the books that I actually have a chapter in as well. I don't write in all of our publications, but I couldn't help myself with this one. I needed to write the mother chapter. And of course I love Warrior Mama, everything about being a warrior mama. So thank you for your chapter.
You're very welcome.
Linda, let's hear about your chapter and tell us a little bit about what kind of mother you are.
Good morning. I'm re-experiencing motherhood again. I have two sons, one that I never knew, that I gifted for adoption in '69. And then I have a 41-year-old son that I raised. And I think the kind of mother I am is the kind of mother I saw my mom being, only I added in the self-care piece, because my mom took care of everybody else first. She was a wonderful mother, and I saw the negative impact it had on her health and her happiness by not taking care of herself first. So at 74, I adopted a rescue Siberian, and I am being a mother all over again. And she is teaching me how to do that every single day. And I have two grandsons that are 4 and 6, and I don't get to grandmother them as often as I would like to, but I love the fact that they are in my world. So my chapter is about my mom. The title is My Mother Was Kidnapped. And she was kidnapped by dementia, by big pharma, the whole medical path of treating dementia. And I did a little bit of research, and I felt like there was maybe more to it. So once we got a doctor for her that got her off of her dementia meds, she had 5 quality years of life with me, moved her down near me. And she taught me so much. And one of the biggest things she taught me, two of the biggest things she taught me, was to always say thank you and always say I love you. And she did that till the very, very last day.
I love the way that you wrote your chapter and let us have a window into the thing I felt the strongest from you was the advocacy And I wonder if you would talk about that for a minute. How was that for you? Was it as difficult as I think it might have been?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was very, very hard. She agreed to move down here only if she could live in assisted living, because that was what she had her own apartment in Jacksonville after my brother and my dad had passed. So I had already been advocates for them and their passing. And she agreed to move, but only if she could still have her own place. So she was very firm about that. She loved her bingo. She loved her music. So I found her a place that had all those things. And I said, "Are you sure you don't want to live with me, Mom?" She goes, "No offense, but I'd be really bored." Because I'm working full time. And so, she wasn't about to stay at home and do nothing. And so we found her a spot that she loved. And it was great until she started declining more the very last year. So the four and a half years were great. As she started to decline, she started to have more falls. So we had to move her from assisted living to a nursing care. And they were very adamant about doing it their way. And I was very adamant about doing it her way. And so I have found, I'm not the only one that's had this experience, you have to be the voice for those who have none. You absolutely have to be the voice for those who have none. And that applies to newborns, because I'm a doula, it applies to newborns as well as to elders. And lots of lessons, learning to not be afraid to speak up for her, because she still would not. She was a wonderful, consummate caregiver. She still would not speak up for herself. And so, it was crucial. It was crucial to her having good quality care especially the last 6 months of her life.
Thank you, Linda.
Thank you.
And thanks for helping us with the awareness that might help us, in our futures with our parents or anyone else we're caregiving. We do need models for advocacy. I think a lot of us weren't taught how to use our voice in a way that is impactful, especially when we're trying to stick up for somebody else. And you modeled that brilliantly in this chapter. So I thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you, Laura. Thank you.
Lisa, tell us about your motherhood experience and this beautiful chapter.
Hi, Laura. So I am a mum to 2 children also, like many other people on this podcast. Mine are quite little. So I've got a daughter who's about to turn 4 tomorrow, and I've got a son who is 10 months old. And so I'm still fairly early on, I suppose, in my motherhood journey, learning every day as we all continue to learn. Yeah, I've written a chapter called Relax, You've Got This, Mama. And I found myself working as a reflexologist. And it's not something I ever imagined I would be doing, having a background in journalism and public relations. And I've ended up completely going off piste. And it all just happened very organically, which it all started when I was pregnant myself with my daughter. And I was very anxious and highly stressed at that time. And I just had this realization that this is the time when you really need to look after yourself, when you're growing a human being, your body is changing a lot. It's important to try and reduce your stress levels as much as possible. And I was very anxious and very worried about pregnancy and birth. And I just realized that it wasn't sustainable. So I ended up having reflexology treatments, which kind of led me down this path of this holistic world that I didn't even know was out there. And it helped me so much. And so since then, I've learned a lot about how to embrace a calmer, more positive kind of lifestyle, and how that in turn can help you achieve a healthy, calm pregnancy and birth. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about my experience in the chapter and how I've gone on to specialize in fertility and pregnancy in terms of reflexology, because obviously it's an area that I'm very passionate about. And so now I get to work with women every day who are going through something similar to what I went through. It can be a very daunting time, as I'm sure we all remember when you're pregnant for the first time. So just trying to help mums on their motherhood journey now and try and share some knowledge with them about what I've learned along the way.
Wouldn't it be cool that, and these are your words, when you're growing a human being, that you can fully embrace that act of self-care right then, like get it down now, moms, you know,
Absolutely.
because it helps you, but it also helps that growing baby. So I am a super fan of reflexology, by the way.
Oh, lovely.
There's probably no modality I've tried that's put me to sleep faster, like bringing your nervous system down a notch so that you can really let go. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, that's right, Laura. So reflexology, it's all about giving people whatever it is that they need and stimulating natural healing and bringing the body into a nice state of balance while making people feel lovely and relaxed in the process. So we have reflex points across our feet, and we also have them on our face and hands. But most people associate reflexology with the feet, which is it's kind of the bread and butter, if you like, of the treatments that I do. And it is all about working those reflexes that correspond with the rest of the body. So our feet are like little maps of the body with reflex points dotted all over them. And so we use very gentle pressure to just ease any congestion that might be in the feet that correspond with other parts of the body, but also emotionally as well. So there might be blockages there that are affecting people emotionally and physically. So we want to, in terms of pregnancy, it's all about helping people to feel relaxed at a time when they may be feeling a bit anxious and a bit overwhelmed, but also just rebalancing hormones and trying to get their body and their mind into an optimum state ready for giving birth.
Nice. I love it. And reflexology is one of those beautiful tools you can actually do on yourself.
That's right. Yeah, and so you can do it on your own hands, and that's probably the easiest way to do it on yourself. You can do it on your feet, which I managed to do a bit throughout my own pregnancy, but obviously as you get bigger, that can be quite awkward. You can do it on your face and on your hands yourself, which is quite nice actually if you can't get out for a treatment, so you can self-treat, as you say.
Yeah, nice. Thank you, Lisa. And let me say a quick thank you to all of you for stepping up and saying yes to this project. I know that there was a lot of excitement about sharing a story about being a mother. There's nothing, I think, more profound than that role in life for so many different reasons. Again, just, I've had that excitement since the beginning of this project. But I appreciate you all stepping up to share that vulnerable story and really letting people understand, what started that for you. It's one thing to be able to journal those words, but it's quite another to hit publish on a book that goes out, to the world, for the world to read. So I appreciate all of you so much for doing that. So Laura, I'm going to start with you for this next question. I'll come around to all of you for, but what does it even mean to show up in the world as a strong mother? And I'll get you to unmute, girl.
There we go. Yeah, when I hear the word strong, so much of the time I think we equate that to physicality, the physical strength of the body. But as a mother, we've got to have that physical strength in our heart and in our soul. Particularly with my chapter, I share the story of how our third pregnancy with our daughter followed after losing our son unexpectedly at birth. And it wasn't just that it was the pregnancy after birth and after loss. Their birthdays are 3 days apart. So I was also to the calendar, the seasons, all of that. It was almost like reliving the prior pregnancy before that one. And that was what I was struggling with initially, was just this tremendous amount of fear and worry. And I felt it. I felt it at the heart level, just really affecting me. And so it wasn't just that I was like, I can't, like someone else was saying, not sustainable, right? If I'm living with a lot of anxiety and worry and stress, this is not a sustainable way to grow a human being in my body for 9 months. And so I had to really just go in to gather that strength to be able to just get out of bed every morning and show up for myself, show up for my daughter who is growing inside of me. And that's what I mean about how we can, when we do that, when we find our own internal strength, that strength of our soul, that strength of our heart, that's how we can present ourselves to each other in the world. And it can be very inspiring to other people, right? What is that quote? We never know what someone is going through, what their past journey has been like. And if we were to step into their shoes, we might have more compassion for them. So I think just being able to walk our own path with our own strength, with our own courage, it can be inspiring and helpful to other people who are struggling with the same thing.
Thank you, Laura. Heart strength. I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, Linda, same question to you. What does it mean to you to show up in the world as a strong mother?
Well, thank you for that question, first of all, and thank you, Laura, for the answer that you just gave. You just hit a button that I didn't even know still existed. I think the first time I was a strong mother was when I was unwed and pregnant in the 60s. And I knew in my heart that I could not be the mother that child deserved to have. And that was when I made the choice to move away from home and gift my child, which I found out after was a boy, to give to my son, to people I didn't know. And I knew that when people encouraged me over and over and over to try and find him, I said, I gave up that right. He may not even know he's adopted. And so I had to be strong in my heart to know that I made a choice for him that I believed was the best choice for his life. And I really felt that when Laura was speaking this morning. So thank you. I think it means, it means taking care of your children at whatever the cost may be. And adding to that we have to take care of ourselves first. And when I was caring for my mother, I realized we had switched roles. Because of her dementia, she was more childlike. And so I was mothering my mother, and I still had to take care of me. And so either way, whichever side of the coin you're on, self-care is just the biggest tool, the biggest piece for any of us. So I guess that's what it means to me.
Thank you, Linda. I love the layers of strong heart that you all are talking about today. Lisa, how about you? What does it mean to show up in the world as a strong mother?
Thanks, Laura. I was just pondering this question, actually. I've really caught me looking really pensive then, staring off in space. But I was just pondering the question, because there are quite a few different answers, I feel. But for me, I think there's a couple of things, really. So from a personal point of view, I think that I feel my most strong when I'm worried about something. So recently, both my kids have been really poorly. We've been in a cycle of illness. We're right in the middle of winter, and they've both been getting cold after cough after illness. And as a mum, you're worried about them. You naturally really worry about them, don't you, when they're ill? Even if the rational part of your brain is telling you it's just a temperature, it's just a bug, it's a virus, it will go. And trying not to show that to them, I find you have to really be quite strong. Even if inside you are freaking out about how hot they are or how ill they look, you have to be really strong to get it together. So putting your own fears and anxieties aside, I think for me, that's taken a lot of personal strength. And then from a professional point of view, I think it takes strength. We've talked a little bit here about putting yourself first and self-care and looking after yourself. And I think that actually does take strength to do that, or to actually saying, I need some support, I need to do something for me. That actually does take strength. It takes effort and it takes strength to do that. And you may end up feeling guilty because, you know, for doing that, but actually being strong and saying, no, this is what I need this to be able to parent better. That takes strength, and that's something that I talk to my clients quite a lot about. Where they may come for treatments and they might be feeling guilty about coming for a treatment because they may have left a young child at home and they feel bad, or they may feel guilty on their partner because the partner isn't getting a treatment, they are, and they're at home looking after the child. But actually putting yourself first and listening to what it is that you need, that takes a lot of strength as well. So yeah, a couple of things there came up for me.
Yeah, very great answers, both of those. It does take some strength to reach out. Many of us were taught that you were weak if you did. So this is quite the opposite. And I would love for people to understand that basic thing, right? It's actually, you're a warrior when you can actually reach out and get what you need, so that then you can take care of everyone else. I love these juicy topics. We could talk about this one all day. Aricka, tell me your version of this. It's hard to go forth on a question like this, I get. What would you add to what all these ladies have said already?
Well, absolutely. I agree with them that self-care, knowing thyself, understanding where you're at, mentally, physically, emotionally, that is super important. But for me, the way that when I think of a strong mom, it's a mom who shows up, like who's consistent, who's stable. Something that I have written down is that I am a wall of Jell-O for my children. And when you think about Jell-O, you know, Jell-O, when you put something in it, it just kind of falls into it. And so I want my kids to realize that I am this safe space for them, that they can come to me when they are melting down or when they're having a bad day, and I am going to listen to them, and I am going to respond from a place of love instead of a place of reacting. You know, we all have our traumas, we all have our triggers, and trauma and triggers, they show up in the form of an emotion or a reaction. They don't show up as a memory. So realizing that whatever's going on around me, I have to always put on that strength, that mother's love, and just be there for them. And it comes from self-care and taking care of yourself first.
I love the Jell-O visual. I'm like, did y'all pick a color when she said Jell-O? Like
I always have a color in mind too.
So I had a version of this in my mind that was very much like yours, Aricka. And it's for me, when I am able to stay present and not make the feeling I'm having mean anything extra in my head. So I can just be coming from that grounded, centered, loving energy. Even if, you know, someone else said I'm having a freak out, like I can still be there. I feel the strongest in that aware place, so that I'm not reacting to that, whatever that feeling was that triggered me. Yeah, this is such a juicy topic. Okay, so I'm going to move on to another question. Linda, I'm going to start with you for this one. You know, in this book, and really all of the Brave Healer books, we take a holistic approach to being a strong mother in this one, right? So when it comes to this journey that we are on, why holistic? Why is that important?
It's important, especially from the perspective that I was coming from, because if we are leaving out a piece of the puzzle, we're leaving out a piece of the puzzle. And if we're adding in things that numb the body or numb the mind, then we're not approaching life from a whole person. It's fragmented, and often the picture is skewed because we're not seeing what's really happening inside. We need the mental part, we need the physical part, we need the emotional part, and we need all the parts of those parts. Holistic is with an H, but holistic is whole. And whether you're birthing or you're transitioning, the spiritual piece is every bit as important as the good nutrition. It
Nice.
feeds the soul. Yeah. So.
Thank you. Thanks. Okay. Thanks for kicking that one off. So, and this is one of those questions where I know everyone is going to agree with what everyone else says, right? So now, Lisa, what do you want to add to that? You know, how else is holistic important in your world?
Yeah, something we talk about a lot, actually. And just to build on what Linda said, really, it's I like the holistic and the whole. I think that's a really good way of thinking of it, because it's just, for me, it's about all of the segments. So looking at each segment that make up the person and making sure they are all sort of supporting one another. I think the best way that I try and think about it is, so if you take stress as an example, a lot of people will come to see me who are quite highly stressed, and obviously reflexology can help with that. But then if they are going home and they're, I don't know, might be drinking a bottle of wine or 5 cups of coffee or something that is going to be completely counterproductive to what we've done, then things, it doesn't all fit in unison. You need to be kind of working, these things need to be all working in unison together. So whenever I see a client for the first time, we always take a really thorough kind of background, have a thorough consultation, go through a thorough kind of background discussion. We talk about their diet and lifestyle, because it is so important, because it underpins everything. And if things like, if their diet and lifestyle is not a healthy one, or if they're being sort of quite destructive in certain ways, then the reflexology is only going to treat some of those symptoms. It's not going to treat the root cause. And it's all about getting to that root cause. And that's where the holistic approach, I think, can be really important.
Perfect, Lisa. Thank you. Aricka, how about you? What do you want to add to that? And then I'll come over to Linda.
Thank you.
I really love what both Linda and Lisa have said. When I think of holistic, I think of like, who am I at the center? Like, what are my needs? What are the things that I need that makes me thrive, that makes me grow, that makes me be that person when I'm at my best? And so for me, holistic would be just getting down to the root of what makes a person tick, if that makes sense. Like, what makes a person whole? And I think it's different for everyone. For me, like, I know if I start my day with prayer, meditation, and reading the Bible, I'm a Christian, so I read the Bible every day. That sets my day off on the right pattern. I can then move through the rest of the things that is self-care for me.
Nice. I finished I call it my affirmation journaling in the morning this morning. And that is a piece of how I stay integrated and whole, just coming into myself, right? And you said it, everyone's a little bit different. Linda, you wanted to make a comment about something that Lisa said.
Yeah, thank you, Lisa. I think the biggest piece is that we are coming from a different place because of the generations. My mother's generation, women did not know how to ask for themselves. And many times, especially after I moved her here, she would be something as simple as being out of toilet paper or out of Kleenex in her assisted living facility. And I'd say, well, I'll go take care of that. She goes, oh, no, I don't want to bother them. You know, $3,000 a month to be there, but afraid to ask for toilet paper for herself, you know, because she didn't want to bother them. And I really think that it was a generational, it was just the way women were 100 years ago. And thank goodness we have progressed to knowing that it's okay to ask for what we need and to calendar in what we need.
Yeah.
So
thank goodness. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Laura, what do you want to add to the holistic piece that we were talking about? Why holistic? Why is it important?
Yeah, I mean, obviously everyone hit all the main points already. You know, holistic, it's just not neglecting mind, body, and soul, taking care of all three. It's interesting when we were both talking about strong mother and what that means to show up in the world. And then this particular question, tree pose popped into my head. And I could see how it could so beautifully illustrate the holistic approach to all of those things, right? So,
oops.
sorry.
That's okay. Start again. Tree pose.
So when you're standing in tree pose, it's not just that you're having to find balance in the physical body. And then when you do find balance in the body, it helps you to balance in the mind, right? When we balance the mind, it helps us balance in our body. But then with the visual of the tree, it's also that we're rooting down, we're connecting down our source into the earth, but we're also drawing nourishment up. So the roots of the tree is what digs down into the earth for that anchor, for that stability, for that strength. But at the same time, that's what's providing nourishment to the tree, right? So, you know, in yoga, when we're moving through these asanas, we're opening the body for the breath, but then all of those things is what also helps to nourish, you know, the mind and the soul, the spirit, whatever we're struggling with and we're going through. And, you know, the tree, while it's strong at its base, strong in its roots, it's also very flexible. It can move with the wind, right? So the constant blowing of motherhood, of all of these gale forces in our life, right? So yeah, so it was just interesting how that popped into my head or in my mind. I just saw someone standing in a tree. But yeah, just that holistic, there's so many pathways to that, but really it's just inclusive. It's that embodiment of nourishing both or all three, mind, body, soul.
Yes, nice. I love listening to the way that all of you talk about this. And you all know how important it is that even though we're saying the same kinds of things, that we're each saying it in our unique voice, because there's somebody that needs to hear it the way you said it today, right? And while all of us in this book overlap in terms of our way of thinking about things, the unique way that we do life, right, really matters. And I so appreciate all of you. I love listening to the ways that you talk about this. This book, you guys, Strong Mothers, is exactly that. You're going to have multiple voices and strategies to work through all of these different topics and all of the stages of being a mother. Okay, ladies, I'm going to challenge you with a little bit of a speed dating question here. We got to wrap this up today. Okay. So Lisa, you're going to go first on this one. People are listening and they're loving these nuggets, y'all, and they might still be a little stuck on the path. And you all have a toolkit that you use. You all have mentioned things today already. I was talking about the affirmation journaling, and right, we were talking about these things that we do. So what I really want is you to think of our listener, of our viewer right now, and offer that one simple way they can just step on a stepping stone on the path today. You know, maybe it's just pause where you are and take that deep breath. That's all you need to do right now, right? So that's my version. You can't take that one. So Lisa, what's yours? I know.
So I think my one is going to be something that I found myself talking about quite a lot recently with a few of my clients. And it's something that I try to do to myself as well, which is speaking to yourself as if you were talking to your best friend. So rather than, I think it's very easy to be very self-critical and be mean to ourselves, and and to feel like we're maybe not good enough, or why are we doing something in a certain way, and we're probably all guilty of it from time to time. But I think trying to change that internal monologue, for me, I think is really powerful. So when next time you find yourself being really self-critical or being really mean to yourself, just pretend that you're having a conversation with your best friend and change that language and be really nice to yourself.
I love that one. Speak kindly to yourself. You want high vibes, then you have to speak high vibes to yourself, right? I love it, Lisa.
Absolutely.
That's perfect. Okay, Aricka, what's your version of this?
Lisa, that was so good. So I just want to pay you a compliment for that. What I tend to do, besides speaking kindly to myself, I do that one a lot, is gratitude. Gratitude goes such a long way. Say something that you're thankful for. When I am kind of down or I'm feeling stuck, I just start listing off the things. Well, I am so thankful that I have my family, I have my children, I have my pets, I have a big house that I live in that I'm taken care of, that the sun is shining today. Just start saying things that you're thankful for. And it is amazing how quickly it just seems to turn around. You get in a different spirit, and you're able to pick up where you left off. Take that deep breath, say some things that you're thankful for, affirm yourself, and keep going.
Yes, more high vibes. I love it. Aricka, that was perfect. Okay, Laura, you're next on this one. What would you offer?
Okay, so since all three of you took super awesome ones, this is the so it's kind of similar to Lisa's, but I would just, affirmations, create a little mantra, something super simple. The one that I found in my last pregnancy was Warrior Mama. And I tagged every social media post that I did, every photo of my pregnancy, Warrior Mama, Warrior Mama. I still do it. So if whatever mantra, whatever it is that you pick to say to yourself, and if you say it all day long, for example, I am a warrior mama, you're not just going to start to see yourself as a warrior mama, but you will feel yourself as a warrior mama. And when you get there, that's the fuel, that's the fire, that's the flame that makes you fall into the pattern of self-care, because of course, what warrior wouldn't do that for themselves? So yeah, I would just say short little sweet mantra, something that you can play on repeat in your internal mind, and the subconscious mind grabs onto that as well.
Oh, well, I love that one. Okay, so I'm going to put all the three together now. Speak kindness, gratitude, and badassery to yourself. That is those three in a row. All right, Linda, we need yours today. You're going to wrap us up today, girl.
So I'm going to wrap it up with patience.
Nice.
Patience, patience, patience. I remind myself on a regular basis, while I am a powerful warrior mama, all things happen in God's time. And I need to be patient with that. And also, I think love. I get to have two words since I'm last. Love builds tons of oxytocin in our body, and we can't help but be on a high vibe. And it's just the most powerful drug that we can take. And we can create it. We create it in birth. We create it by dancing. We create it with sex. We create it by writing high vibes and by a hug, and being patient and knowing that we are not in charge. We're just a piece of the puzzle.
I love it. How can we not end with love for strong mothers? Thank you so much. Authors, all of you, thank you so much for what you do in the world and for being here today to share it with everyone.
Thank you, Laura.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. you.
So
Thank you.
everyone listening, remember that these powerful expert authors are hooked up down in the show notes. So if they said something today that turned you on, that sparked a little something inside of you, then go ahead down there and click on their website. Explore, take it the next step. They're there for you very generously with support. They'll connect with you. They can answer questions, all of the good stuff. And of course, you're invited to join us on March 4th at noon Eastern, when we're going to gather with all of the Strong Mothers authors. That was hard to say. And that's going to be for our live stream book launch party. We're going to be on the Brave Healer Productions Facebook page for that. And we can't wait to see you there. And if you are listening to this after the March 4th date, and we are in 22 right now, by the way, well, that means that the book is ready on Amazon. So you just need to hop over there and grab your copy. So today, lastly, I want to remind anybody who is a healer, a healthcare professional, wellness professional, maybe it's time that you share your brave words in one of our upcoming best-selling books. Well, you know where to find me, over at bravehealer.com. I'm waiting to chat with you. And everybody today, remember, your words change the world when you're brave enough to share them. So it's time to be brave. See you next time, everyone. Bye, ladies.
Bye.
Bye, Laura.